Hi, this is Khaki King, and a lot of people ask me, God, why do you play in so many different altered tunings? You know, why can't you do what you do in standard tuning? Why can't I do what you do in standard tuning? And also, you know, why does your music sound the way it does? It sounds perhaps different from, you know, I've never heard guitars sound like that. And I think it's because I use altered tunings in the best way that they're meant to be used, which is that strings are ringing out that normally wouldn't while I'm doing other things. And I'll give you a very simple example of this. So every time I play the same two notes on top. Not to mention the fact that every time I play and move, those strings are still ringing out. So for instance, just between these two chords, you can hear the strings, you know, wait for the pause and hear the two strings ring out. The strings that I already played are still there. So it's almost like you have this pedal going, and that kind of creates this, it sort of just makes it sort of a bigger sound, a bigger glow of sound. And that's what I think altered tunings are most useful for, are using the open notes as melodic notes that continue on as you move on to the next section of your piece or the next section of your song. And it just makes, that's really half of what it takes to make that bigger, fuller sound, to make you sound like two guitar players, etc., etc. This is from a song I wrote. So this note here is always there. As well as that bass note. So that's why altered tunings work really well, especially with if you're trying to just move a little bit outside of comfort zone territory. Now the tuning I'm in right now is DAD-GAD, D-A-D, A-D, G, A-D. But I'm going to switch down to C, G, D, G, A-D. So I'm just going to change the bottom two notes. Just illustrate with some chords that I know how kind of nice it is to have these open strings going. So here's just one. So I've got 3 fretted notes that I'm moving around, and I've got 3 open notes that are just sustaining themselves the whole way. And there's sort of this beautiful quality to it. So again, you can kind of see that the resonance of those strings, whether it's on acoustic or on electric, that's what sort of shapes this. It makes this louder sound, this bigger sound, this more full sound, and yeah, I don't know, it just works really well when you're kind of trying to, and you can even, lots of players played with, big distortion, and they have different tunings where they might just do like a drop D situation where they're playing their power chords and moving up and down and finding where the 3 notes on top work the best as pedal notes. And so that's kind of a really basic example and basic reason of how you can use any kind of altered tuning to your advantage. Even getting weird stuff going on, like that might sound like a really weird chord, but it might make perfect sense when you go down to so you can always experiment with anything, and altered tunings are a really good way to do that. So a lot of people say, well, how do you know what chords you're playing? And I have, I'll just, in terms of, most people, myself included, grow up in, we learned things in standard tuning to begin with, and we learned all the chords that we're playing, and we kind of know what we're doing to be able to play with other people. And a lot of times with altered tunings, it's really hard to know. I mean, I could spell this chord out, but do I know what it is right now? No, I don't. I think it's something in C. I think it's probably a C major chord, but I don't know for sure because I haven't kind of obsessed over that. Now this chord, no idea what that is either. It sounds like I don't know what that is either. It sounds sort of like a C chord as well, but maybe something like this. Couldn't tell you. And so yeah, I don't think it's too important if you're in altered tunings to pay too much attention to what notes you're playing. If you're a really, really decent musician and you know your theory very, very well, it wouldn't be hard for your ear to pick those things up. I can sort of pick out each individual note, and then I can say, oh, that's this type of chord or this type of chord. But I don't really think that's the point. I think that's kind of missing the point, really. I think the idea is just to hear what you hear and to focus on, does it sound pleasing to my ear? Because if you get caught up in your theory a little too much, you might end up missing out on doing something that's a little wilder, a little less conventional. If you start to hear the familiar patterns, and you're going to always want to go, oh, well, after, I've played, I know where my 1 is now, where are my 4 and 5? And I don't know that necessarily facilitates writing music that's just a little bit different. And so I think it's important to not be too concerned with the notes and the chords, etc., that you're playing. If you know them, great. Just don't let that hinder you.